trickle here if we need to, but this is the seats that can see the screen. So that's kind of what I was thinking, we would have that this way. I mean, if we have people over here, we can certainly angle it that way. But I was thinking we could either have them up now, or we would have them, bring them up like after we
can
invite
get
them.
out, because I think people are going to be looking at this and not listening.
And to be honest, all this is going to be up on slides anyway, so.
Well, I just figured, this is what I thought. I thought when the meeting breaks, and people want to walk around and just look, I'll leave them here anyway, so they'll have them.
Well, we can do that for, as we're getting to the part where we're talking about it. You know, like if you're referring to a particular image on here, I can, we can make sure we're having the right spot there.
I don't know, maybe it's one of these off to the side for now. Can you tell me when you're ready? And I'll put them up. Now, did you make some handouts?
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of printouts right here.
Brought two with me.
This should have, lots of moving in here. Well, because it's
Flip it like
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's not how I would have done it, but
No, because it's awkward.
yeah.
Hey, Roy.
Were you?
Good.
Nice of you to come.
I got something for you here. I don't know if you looked at it.
I haven't had a chance to
Hey, Roy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Hey, nice to see
Hi,
you.
nice to see you. So, one of the points, so it goes through the process. Right. One important thing to remember, my concern is, we were asked to do this course of these 13 points. After interviewing everybody, these were the ones.
I am sorry.
And so that's my concern. But that's you. I think you're going to.
I will. Thank you.
I'm stupid pavilion. I care most about my daughter, not a pavilion, right?
Right.
That's what I'm supposed to do as a mom.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's hard to be 11.
Did you make the chili? It smells amazing.
I know.
I don't know, what a joy.
Well, I said I'd provide dinner.
Right, I mean, it's
Homemade
dinner. There's dinner.
matzo
Yeah.
soup and chili.
Did you help?
That's what I was doing today.
Say yes. Your mom's also last.
And I will do dinner
Three.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're in charge. You're doing presentation. Everyone said yes to you. I think we're not told this first. I lost one in the airport. It was pretty good. He was 8. Fine.
He was in the temple. I mean, come on.
Mine was a lot worse.
Yes.
A lot worse. Luckily, it was the airport. It was a very safe place.
I was.
I blame James.
I thought so.
Like James, like you were in charge. No.
Right.
Definitely my fault.
I've done that too. Like, you were in charge.
You were really.
No, because my kids came back. No.
Metaphorically
No,
speaking.
metaphorically, it feels a little bit more like you're pushed off a cliff and nobody cares where you fall. That's what it feels like. Like you're so completely out of the loop on everything. So, which is fine. Like, I mean, it is what it is. What I was saying.
I have my own fantasy.
Right, are we hoping for the pops to play in this pavilion?
The outdoor pavilion?
Yeah.
Not big enough.
Oh, come on.
It's big enough for a flex or a,
Sure.
we got definitely gonna have some dancing in there.
We got Eve Gossack just to bring a smoke.
I'm Viola.
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm curious, the other night, when I
Yeah.
walked in,
I see a pair of legs. I take it, take 10 minutes too, in case you have any questions.
I'm not trying to rush you, I'm delighted that it was.
Yeah, they didn't want to live stream it, but they were fine with her recording.
Okay, that's super. And is that gonna be posted on the newsletter?
I'm gonna ask about
So
it.
I remember
They
things
want
like
to
that.
do like, yeah, access wise.
Okay, great.
How old is that?
50!
Recent 50, congrats.
Celebratory party. We had a treasurer's meeting.
Set that up.
And I shouldn't have owned it like that, I guess.
I'm glad I made it. Same with you.
See? Interesting.
Oh, thank you.
It's funky. I can get a battery.
I need more formality. We already talked about it twice today.
Sitting in a corner.
Totally am.
All right, so this thing's done.
Okay. Good evening. Okay. Welcome. It's great to see all of you here tonight. Thank you for being with us, whether in person or virtually. Your presence reminds me of the enthusiasm, commitment, and energy that make our congregation so special. Tonight we're here to talk about something very exciting, a project aimed to enrich our temple grounds and strengthen our community. A new pavilion. I want to emphasize that this isn't just about building a structure. A pavilion is much more than beams and a roof. It's about creating a space where we can gather, celebrate, learn, and simply enjoy being together. It's a place where memories will be made, friendships will grow, and our shared faith and values can be expressed in tangible ways. The purpose of tonight's discussion is simple. We want everybody here to understand fully the Pavilion Project, what we hope to achieve, the key decisions involved, and the steps we plan to take together. To guide our conversation, we'll focus on a few key areas. First, we'll talk about what we hope to achieve with the pavilion. Why are we building it, and what experiences do we want it to support? I imagine children and youth engaging in meaningful programs, families celebrating milestones, and youth engaging in, families celebrating milestones together, and all of us having a welcoming space for community events. Understanding the purpose will help us see the vision clearly and appreciate the impact this pavilion could have on all of us. Second, we'll explore the key design considerations and decisions. From materials and layout to functionality and aesthetics, there are many factors to consider. Our goal is to create a space that is both practical and beautiful, one that complements our existing temple grounds and can serve multiple purposes for years to come. Tonight, we'll walk through these considerations so everyone understands the careful thought behind each decision. Third, we'll review the latest design concept mock-ups. These designs give life to the ideas we've been discussing. They'll show how the pavilion could look and how it fits into our temple grounds. This is where the vision becomes tangible, and I hope you'll find the designs as inspirational as we do. Fourth, we'll go over the tentative project timeline. While some dates may shift, having a roadmap allows us to plan responsibly and ensures everyone knows what to expect at each stage. And finally, fifth, we'll open the floor to your questions and feedback. Your thoughts and ideas are invaluable. This pavilion is for all of us, and we want it to reflect the heart, values, and spirit of our congregation. Your input tonight will help guide this project so that it truly serves our community. If you didn't get a packet and a pen when you walked in, please raise your hand now, and someone will bring you one so you can write down your questions to be answered during the designated time at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Allison. Nice. Okay, we're good. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment to recognize and thank Adam Lauren, Roy McDowell, and their dedicated team who have spent countless hours guiding this project and supporting the design process. Their creativity, commitment, and hard work have brought us to this exciting stage, and we are truly grateful for their leadership. As we go through tonight's agenda, I encourage you to think not just about the structure itself, but on the possibilities it represents. A space for gathering, celebrating, learning, and quiet reflecting. A space that will serve our community for years to come. Many of you here built Shir Tikva with the hopes of your grandchildren in mind. As we think about the pavilion, I delight in sharing the same forward vision of future generations. Thanks again for being here this evening. Let's begin our discussion, explore the designs, and imagine together the positive impact this pavilion can have on our congregation. And now I turn it over to Rabbi Danny. Playing the part of Rabbi Danny tonight is going to be Adam Lauren.
So hello, welcome. My name is Adam Lauren. I'm board trustee overseeing the capital projects. Before we jump into our main topic tonight, I thought it would be useful to just give people a, if you cannot hear me in the room, I have a very loud indoor voice. Hopefully you can hear me online. Wanted to give everybody an update on where we are with just the capital projects generally, kind of from a budgetary standpoint as well as a progress standpoint. So, as you all know, hopefully know and recall, we've had $7.5 million raised so far. 80% of those funds, so a significant portion of that $7.5 million, is going toward building improvements. So going towards improving and love for the temple and the building and structure. That also includes a $500,000 contingency amount, which we hold in reserve in case any project goes, has some unplanned expenses, or we have a new project that comes up that we want to entertain that hasn't been previously identified before. So far, of that money that's going toward the capital projects, the specific building projects there, 56% of that's been spent so far. HVAC last year was one of the biggest projects that we've had for that. Of the remaining money that we have left is going to go towards all the projects that we have planned and that we are committing to, and we're going to talk a little bit about in the next slide in a second. Go back one more, sorry. Some of the projects completed to date have been coming in under budget, so that has been good because we have been able to take the savings from that. If we budget, say, $500,000 on something and it comes in at $450,000, that $50,000 extra gets to go back into the pool for other projects and allows us to either put more towards a project we've already identified or have some additional money available for new projects that might come up as priorities change over the years. Of the remaining planned projects, the two projects are going to take up a bulk of that. That's the outdoor pavilion, which we're talking about today, as well as planned sanctuary renewal. Those two projects represent the bulk of what's going to be spent over the next few years here. So we had a number of projects in 2023. Might not be hard to read in the room here a little bit, but a number of beautification projects that we've completed in 2023 with some of the earlier donations as part of ITP, lobby gathering space and the coffee bar, which hopefully you all saw when you came in here. We've had updates to the ELC, including new flooring, classroom, painting, updated kitchen for the ELC, and new appliances. We had similarly for Hanani updates, flooring, classroom painting, new whiteboards. The sanctuary and school roofs were replaced. That was done. We had some various IT enhancements to facilitate remote learning and live streaming, some of which those of you who are live streaming right now are experiencing, as well as some outdoor beautification around seating and planters, etc. Last year, the big project in 2024 was replacing the HVAC system, so that was a huge project, as you all know and hopefully recall. In 2025, we started the year with establishing, with the completion of the capital campaign and all the projects that are planned, the establishment in the guise of my role right now as a capital project trustee position, as well as the ITP Capital Project Task Force, which meets roughly monthly or as frequently as needed based on the projects that are going on. We retired the HVAC debt. That saves us about $100,000 a year in interest expense, so no small change there. We did the parking lot, as hopefully you've all have seen. If you have not seen it, the ELC outdoor space is now completed. That'll look fantastic in the spring once all the plants come in, but you should be able to, during the daylight hours, take a look out there and see all the new playground equipment and the new layout in the grass and everything. Kitchen has been refreshed. That is about 99.9% complete right now. A few little things we're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's on, but that, before you leave today, for those of you here, poke your head in there and take a look at that. It's all new cabinetry, new floor, epoxy floor, new paint, new ceiling. We also have all new HVAC system in there that's tied into the main HVAC system, so it will be nice and warm in there in the winter and cool in the summer. And then outdoor pavilion, which we're going to spend today's meeting talking a bit about that project, but we have been spending quite a bit of time doing design work and thinking about the space and design concepting. And then we are also looking to replace the lobby roof, I believe sometime this fall, and that is the last roof piece. All the roof will then be basically new within the last few years. Moving into next year and beyond, pavilion and some landscaping to go along with the pavilion. We'll be looking to do exterior painting of the entire building, and this will also tie in with the pavilion colors as well, so that'll be kind of a full building refresh out exterior. Sanctuary update project, that's a little bit of a down the road project right now, but we anticipate some of the planning and design work going into that starting next year. And then we have some other projects lined up around IT upgrades, some miscellaneous beautification, gender neutral bathroom will be on tap as well as some interior painting within the building itself. So lot planned, lot going on, and with that, I am going to turn over to our illustrious Rabbi Danny, who's going to talk about the pavilion.
Thank you, Adam. I want to just begin, before talking about the pavilion specifically, just to start with gratitude and to say that we're standing here celebrating as well the fact that we're able to do this. The fact that the community came together in the way that it did for the Imagine the Possibilities campaign is just a real testament to everyone who's a member here at Shirtik, for those of you here in person, those of you watching via the live stream, and those of you doing something else this evening. Everyone came together in tremendous ways, and the work of our campaign team to get us to this place where we can imagine these possibilities and imagine this pavilion for our community, we just need to take a moment to recognize that. Yes, definitely. Alongside the gratitude for the people involved in the campaign and for all of you for your generosity, I want to also just recognize the people who built this building and this space for us today that we're in. We are in a tremendous sanctuary, one that we get to share with our community and get to thank those who built it, those who did that work, who allowed us this space that we appreciate on a daily basis, be it the sanctuary space, the classrooms, the social hall, the offices, every piece of it, so thoughtfully done and beautifully constructed. And I know that Ed's here tonight, and I imagine that Sander might be watching at home on the live stream as well, and I know many others as well who are involved in that work. And I get the privilege of having that office that gets to look into the sanctuary intentionally, so that I could see in the sanctuary as Rabbi Blumberg had wanted for the rabbi's office in that way. And so just so many things that we should begin with gratitude before we even look to the future for what we're able to do. When I got here just about 9 years ago for the first time to say hello to people, we've changed a lot in those 9 years. There's been a lot of change in this community in terms of our size, our membership, our schools, our program. We've lived through a pandemic, we've lived through wars, we've lived through all sorts of changes. And in that way, the needs of our community are ever evolving and ever changing. And to address the needs that we have today in a way that will be impactful both for today and for tomorrow, a pavilion really offers us so many opportunities that we want to engage with. In many ways, the plan for the pavilion is one of those things that we like to call a COVID keeper. We had our COVID pandemic, and one of the solutions to bring people together was to put the canopy up in that space out there in the courtyard. It allowed us to gather together with some shelter from the environment and to just do that much more programming than we could do standing outside in the parking lot or without that cover. And once we had that canopy, we imagined using it for services and a couple of other things, but the uses grew and grew and grew because the space was appreciated. The opportunity for something different brought our community together. Shabbat services on a Friday night during the summer months have to be outside now because that's the expectation. They want to be under the canopy, not in the sanctuary. Our ELC program started using the canopy so that they could be enjoying being outdoors, but having their lessons with that shelter. Programs started meeting out there, meetings took place there, gatherings, receptions, functions. We just saw the potential in that space. And the canopy was nice, and it was good and it served its purpose. But the pavilion that we are imagining now offers us that opportunity to have that same functionality, but in so many more ways, and I will say in a much more beautiful setting than the canopy was, which, thanks to John, has survived this many summers, but is really needs some loving care to go on. So with this pavilion space, we will be able to do the programming that we currently do under the canopy. It gives us that flexibility of space for overflow into it when there's a reception, for services when people want a slightly different setting, for programs, for education. It addresses one of our major needs, which is we just don't have enough space anymore for everything that people want to do in this building, especially on a Sunday morning when, if you've been here, you'll see that every single inch of space is booked and packed, be it with children or with adult programming, but it would be lovely to do more. And the pavilion will allow us to do more. We had at one point imagined some type of space for our spirituality programming, because they've been put into different classrooms and different spaces as we have available. This space, with the way that it's imagined, addresses that need, where it will be that much more conducive to gather together, whether it's for Musa or meditation or different spiritual programming, in a setting that will lend itself to those experiences and elevate them through the space, not detracting because of the space. And with the way that Adam and Roy and the various groups have been thinking about this space, we are maximizing the potential for its usage. We will be able to have classes in there, services in there, functions in there, meetings in there. Anything we really do as a synagogue, we're going to be able to do it in that pavilion space. And for us as a professional team, and I'm speaking now on behalf of our entire professional team, the opportunity to have more space to utilize is something that's very exciting for the programming and for the offerings that we want to have here. And I will say the opportunity to have a space that's different. It's not the social hall. It's not a classroom. It's not the sanctuary. It's a different type of space, and it therefore provides for different types of programming that we will explore and utilize as we get to know it. So from where I stand, from where I sit, the opportunity to have this pavilion is truly something really exciting, something that we're looking forward to. And I'll only say that as the father of a Bar Mitzvah this May, I'm only sorry it's not coming any sooner, because I can just imagine the way that families are going to utilize it for those kind of functions and really appreciate us having it here. And so I just want to add to the thanks, Adam and Roy, for all of the work that they have been doing, leading these projects, and everyone else who's been involved in that work, because it truly is, I hope, a labor of love, and one that we are so grateful to them for undertaking. So I'm now going to hand over. I think it's you get both of them now. So
before we jump into the design itself, just wanted to give a quick kind of overview of how we got through that process there. We had a number of members from the ITP task force, which is a cross-disciplinary group on its own, but we also brought in senior staff, we had clergy involved, we had various community members involved. Throughout this whole process, we kept asking, what are we trying to solve with the pavilion, right? What are the needs, what are the outcomes, how will we be using the space, how do we want the space to feel, right? It's very important that we understand it's not just like this thing, it's like this we want there to be some emotion to it. We also wanted to make sure we understood what was not working currently, what was driving various things like longer term structures, being able to use the courtyard out there. For those of you that have used the canopy is great, but the ground under the canopy is not so great, right? Especially if it's wet outside. So we want to be factoring that in. And we want to be thinking about like different kinds of events, right? Not just like any kind of singular event, but like, as Danny mentioned, a wide variety of different use cases that we can use this space for. And different seating configurations, whether it's tables or whether it's chairs or whether it's just random meeting collection groups. And we also wanted to take advantage, make sure we factored in things like evening activities, so lighting. We also wanted, things like being able to do live streaming, AV. So we wanted to have those plugged in as well. Based on all of this, there was a number of 3D mock-ups that we created, and I'm going to turn over to Roy, who's going to walk us through those right now.
Thank you, Adam. Roy McDowell. If we could go to the first slide. Okay. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the temple from this point of view, but it's really interesting, the curvature of the building on the left, the courtyard, we see the tent in the rear, that's the area we're talking about today, and of course the general landscaping, which a conversation for another day. Okay, next please. So this is just sort of an overview of what the pavilion would look like relative to the existing building. Now, we spend a lot of time with our committee talking about size of it, shape of it, windows, no windows, columns. What we've done on the image itself, we've aligned the gutter line of the existing building to the gutter line of the new structure so that they're the same elevation. That means the windows that you see going around the perimeter match the windows similar to what you see here. So we've got a consistency of look and we'll have light coming through. You'll also notice the entire courtyard right now, which is basically gravel and some grass, and is pitching towards the wetlands. That gray line you see in the foreground is actually a retaining wall. It's about 2 feet tall with a set of steps through the middle. And the reason for that is we're raising the grade, so it's just got a very slight pitch away from the building, but basically flat. All the area that you see looks like paving. At least in this concept, we're looking at doing it in granite. Why not bluestone? Believe it or not, today granite's actually less expensive than bluestone, and it's more durable. So the nice thing about just not having the pavilion, we've got a tremendous amount of outdoor space for gatherings, for functions, seating. You'll see benches, landscaping, landscape lighting around the perimeter. There'll be, of course, lighting within the pavilion. If we could go to the next slide, please. Another view, you'll see the arborvitae hedge you're looking at is looking towards the wetlands and the solar panels in the back. You'll notice again the windows are on the perimeter to match the temple itself and sort of the just general open field. Next, please. Again, another view, you see a person standing just to give you a sense of scale. Now, the other thing I should point out, this could be used probably as much as 10 or more months a year. Now you say, how is that? Because we're going to be doing some electrical services for electric heat in the facility, in the pavilion. As Adam mentioned, we'll be doing AV wiring, we'll be doing lighting in the pavilion. We'll also be wiring for automatic blinds that will come down. So basically it's plastic material to keep the cold out. And there'll be an automatic lift, so they'll go up and down when needed. So you could really extend the season quite a bit in that use. Next, please. Again, it's just another view. You'll notice the columns. The closure could come in between each of these columns. Other than that, when they're up and out of the way, it just feels very open. Next, please. So we looked at a couple of versions. One is if you want to do seating for a service. And I think we can fit up to 120 people in this regard. We've actually widened it. It looks a little tight here. We've actually widened it 4 more feet. It's now 28 by 48 feet. Next, please. This is another version where if you have a function, you want to have seating, dining. I believe we can fit up to 64 people in that regard. Again, thinking about having a sound system, having lighting, you can do all kinds of possibilities.
One thing I'll add more to that is that that's 64 people and tables physically underneath the canopy. That's not including, if it's a nice day or a nice evening, tables around the perimeter of the.
You could do over 100. By the way, when I'm going through this, if you have any questions, just interrupt me. Next, please. So if you'll notice, the exterior of the pavilion is basically all white, except for the shingle roof. So we thought we'd do something a little different on the interior. And we vaulted the ceiling up. You'll see exposed beams, trusses, maybe could be gray, it could be brown. We did brown for now, just to give a little warmer feel so it doesn't feel so vacuous. And the nice thing is we can do some track lighting within these beams to spread light across the ceiling to really open it up. Next, please. Again, just showing a version where if you're having seating, people coming and going, you'll see there's quite a bit of terrace space outside the pavilion itself. So you could, as Adam said, you could expand the seating significantly on a good day. Or if you're just having a social function, and you want to just meander around, have conversations with people, it's very conducive to that. The other thing I should mention is you come through the main entrance and you go through the doors in the back, the grade is flat. So that covers us from an ADA compliance point of view. The other doorways, there will be one step down. Next, please. Just a little visual, give you an idea what it might look like. To give,
Coming from a water, is it covered if it should be raining?
good point, Paul. We've discussed that. Yes, we're going to do some kind of an awning going from the building over, so if it's raining. We even looked at the idea of possibly doing it from the other doors as well, if it's necessary. So, how long will this project take? We think between, just to kind of walk you through what would need to be done, we're talking about regrading the entire site, scraping it down, gravel base. We're going to have to put in a subterranean drainage system because the town will not let us shed the water into the wetlands. So we're going to have an underground drainage system. There'll be a gutter system on the building itself, drains within the terrace itself. So we've got the grading, we've got the drainage system, we've got the footings going in for the pavilion itself, the construction of the pavilion, wiring and electrical services for the landscape lighting in the building itself. We've got irrigation system going in, landscaping, plant beds, and of course the granite terrace itself. We're looking at a period of about 3 months. Any questions? Yes? No, we think because of the amount of windows that are on the perimeter, it could be, but we didn't really think it was necessary. And aesthetically, it doesn't really go with anything right there now. Yeah.
The other thing, you talked about some type of shades or something. Sorry. You talked about some kind of shades or something.
Yes.
So what would people would be in there and you'd leave like one of them open, or how would people get in?
Well, they each operate independently. It's a separate switch. So if you wanted to close one side because of the wind or the other side because of the rain, you could do that.
Okay, but you wouldn't close it off because there's...
Well, you could. If it's 10 degrees outside and you want to use it and put the heat on, sure you could.
So there's going to be heat in there too, you said?
There will be.
Okay. I'm just wondering how people are going to get in and out if we put these
We'll have
shades.
one section where there's a door.
Okay, that's the answer I wanted. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So are you saying in the shoulder months, with the shades down, the heat will enable us to use it? It will be warm enough?
It will be. I don't want to say January and February when it's 10 below zero, no, but I would say easily 10 months. Could be more. Here's the other question. How much money do you want to spend on electric heat? You know, if it's really cold and you want to spend a few $100s, great. If you don't.
Will there be any solar panels on it?
No. We have enough solar panels. But I think we're doing well in that regard now. Yes?
Any concern about noise? The two contiguous rooms are, oh, thank you. Any concern about noise?
In what regard?
In regard to the Beit Midrash might have study going on or something in the social hall. If you haven't thought about it, you've answered my question.
Well, all the windows and all the doors in the buildings are thermopane, which means there's argon glass between the glass. So I think that helps mitigate somewhat the sound. I mean, if someone's out there beating on drums, sure, you're going to hear it. But if it's just people congregating, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Anything further? Yes.
Will you need any additional bathroom facilities?
I don't know the answer to that. My guess is no, because when you really think about it, high holidays and other times when you have functions here, could be 500 people here. I don't think that's going to make a difference. Ed, I know you have a question. What is it?
Also, if anybody online has a question, please email Rabbi Danny.
Just curious, what is the cost of this project?
This project, if I leave out the electric heat and I leave out the potential shades, we're somewhere between $675,000 and $700,000. It could be under $25,000. Ed, come on, I need a question.
No, I'm late to this game, so I didn't know anything about the pavilion until just recently. I'm struggling with the concept. About 9 years ago, we went through an extensive building update project evaluation where we interviewed everyone, like you did for this. And we identified 13 different needs of the congregation back then, and those needs haven't changed. A larger sanctuary, a more permanent sanctuary, a larger social hall, a front entrance where the staff and clergy can see who's entering the building, upstairs youth room as opposed to being in the basement. All these things were laid out, and there were some proposals. And what I'm concerned about, having just learned about it, is that it looks like the tail wagging the dog. It looks like you're going to build a pavilion in a space where it was thought best to have clergy and staff offices so that they can see the front lobby of this place. And if you do that, you're basically not expanding the building at all. This front building, lobby and front building here, was built for $1.4 million. It was a shoestring budget. We had no money. And it was never meant to be permanent. It was always, once we grow, hopefully we will grow, then we'll do something more. It looks like you're going in a different direction. It's not you, but I'm just saying it looks like the congregation is going in a different direction. And quite frankly, the pavilion itself is beautiful. I mean, it's something that I would think someone with your skill would come up with. But I'm struggling with the direction that the congregation is going.
I understand. Back in 1992, as I recall, you, Sandy, I think Paul was involved, and others, I was involved here as well. I remember you guys doing this. I remember, if it weren't for the two of you, this never would have happened. Let's all be clear on that. So seriously, I remember. You spent mornings and evenings 5 days a week here at the detriment of your own business. So I fully appreciate and understand that. I also know that you and Sandy had a plan done a number of years ago, preliminary estimate. How many millions of dollars was that? 16 and a half. How many years ago? 2017. 8 years ago. So that's at least 25 million today, today's dollars. So I'm not saying, and I'm going to let the rabbi speak to it, I'm not saying it's not a good plan. I haven't seen it. I'm going to look at it. I just received it. Is it going to be necessary long term? You're probably right. But to raise a $25 million capital campaign, if we do it, is going to have to be sometime down the road. I think understanding, because we could never have raised that right now. So to having built that right now, we have needs like HVAC, kitchens, parking areas. I mean, there's a litany of things that need to be done. What you're saying is an admirable idea, an idea that probably should happen long term, as the temple expands and grows. I think it's just going to have to be something done in the future. But I'm going to let the rabbi address that. Thank you.
So just to address that, and just again, in case people didn't hear, if you do have questions at home, if you email me, rabbidanny@shirtikva.org, I will be checking to make sure that those of you who are watching at home also have a chance to answer, raise questions that we can answer. I think for us, when we were thinking about this space, the changes in our community over the last 8+ years have just been immense in terms of where we're going. And I think from our perspective, we don't yet know where we're going as a destination. And so we have seen other communities where they've done building projects based on data that they had at the time, that then within a couple of years found they didn't have enough space for classrooms or didn't have enough space for the sanctuary. And alongside that, one of the things that we've seen over the last few years is the way that people engage with synagogue programming has changed with COVID, and it's not going back fully in that way. Just the fact that we are live streaming this presentation in this way with the number of people who are watching at home is a shift. The way that people engage on Zoom and in other settings, it's all shifting, and I don't know that we yet know what the end is. And so when we went into the Imagine the Possibilities campaign, we discussed the fact that there were a couple of factors in not yet feeling ready to engage in a project like this, as Roy said, partly with a cost in mind. One was that the numbers that we were thinking for this campaign were significantly higher than we'd ever done as a fundraising development goal as Temple Shir Tikva in our history. And so we were setting a high bar already, much higher than we'd ever achieved, and we needed to achieve that, and also then demonstrate the credibility as being a philanthropic priority for people to hopefully continue contributing to the temple and seeing other ways that we might receive funds and develop and grow. Right now, I think that we don't yet know what the end of our needs are going to be like. With the plans that they were, and they're beautiful plans, within a couple of years with the school that Alison has here and the number of children enrolling, it was actually classrooms that we needed the most. More classroom space for more program space for that to fill those needs. Ones that we wouldn't have anticipated 10 years ago because that wasn't the type of school that we had or the kind of growth that we were experiencing. And so how many classrooms we eventually need, how much space we need in the sanctuary beyond the High Holy Days, when, yes, on the High Holy Days for 2 days a year, we are rather packed, but we're not yet sure, I think, where that finishes, but there is an immediate need for some more space now, and more space that can be multi-usage. And I think that's the thing that I love about the pavilion plan that Roy and Adam have developed, is that it allows us to have space that is flexible, and space that can answer the needs in several different ways for the type of programs that we want to have here at Shir Tikva. And so with that being contributing to services, education, spirituality, meetings, receptions, I think it's a really exciting proposal. I think as I said, I am already aware that maybe a decade from now when we do our next capital campaign, we might be looking at different projects in terms of space and the way that we want to expand the building. And so if you want to mark your calendars for your donations and pledges 10 years from now, that would be wonderful. But we're going to need to do that again in different ways. But this addresses a need now that we feel good about addressing. And again, that complements the building. The other thing that I've loved about having Roy as the kind of designer leader in that way is that with his awareness of the original building and with his concern for that aesthetic, he's been so aware of things like the sight lines and other elements and keeping that in view and in line with the vision that we so beautifully received 30 years ago or so now with the building as it is today. So I just want to, again, thank you for that work. And if there are more questions, I'm going to probably hand over back to Adam and Roy because they can answer most of the questions much better than I can. And I'm going to check if anyone's emailed a question.
Hi there. I'm Dave Lustig. I have a question. Is in this project, are the adjacent areas to the pavilion, are they going to be rehabbed with doors that block wind? The current ones don't.
You're
Like
referring to the
the
doors
window
on the
walls.
Midrash and the doors on the social hall?
Bingo.
Yeah, so they don't, when the wind is blowing, the wind is coming through those doors?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And has been.
We can look at that.
Oh, okay.
We'll look at that.
Yeah, the doors themselves aren't changing. If anything, the pavilion may help reduce that somewhat. Given winds coming down, there'll be a roof structure. But that's a good point. We'd have to address that once it's built to see if it minimizes that problem.
Quick question. So I think it's great.
Thank you. Really great. Thanks for all the hard work that you're putting into helping us out here. Appreciate it. So just a thought, which I'm sure you've thought about, is that, and you've talked about a little bit, is that will the building, the pavilion, be such that if we need to add more heating or whatever it may be, in order to have it work 12 months a year, will it be adjusted so that, we just have to spend another 50 or 100, whatever it is, to be able to use that pavilion 12 months a year?
Well, what we're going to do when we run the conduits from the building underground into the structure, we're going to run additional conduits for who knows what. There'll be conduits for the lighting, conduits for the heat, conduits for I'll call them shades, conduits for the audiovisual, all that. And then additional conduits. Who knows what future technology we may have that we need them, so we will have those.
Great, thank you very much.
So we have two messages online. One from Phil Benjamin just asking, will the pavilion be useful for High Holy Day overflow?
It's certainly something that we have talked about as a possible use case. It's partially why we have the seating configuration that you saw and the AV in there. I think we have to kind of see how that materializes, knowing that I don't know if you want to speak to it, there's a certain presence about everybody being physically in the room during the High Holy Day.
As we've talked about it, it will not be a direct feeling of being literally in the space. That's not the proposal, and that's not what it will address, but it will allow us the potential of some overflow seating in some ways, whether that's offered to different people who are non-members or whatever else, but it will give some flexibility of usage in the way that other communities do engage with space. We are aware, though, for our congregation being in this space, be it the sanctuary or the social halls, is significant and is meaningful in terms of the High Holy Day experience. And the pavilion will be one step removed from that in terms of how it can be used. And then the other message just online is from Dick Grossman just saying, what a wonderful plan. Thanks to all who have worked on this exciting project.
Yes.
Is there an issue with permitting in terms of the town?
Oh, you think this town's that hard?
But
So Jeff told me, Jeff Mayman's here, Jeff went to the building department to get a permit to put the tent up. A tent. Shocked me you need a permit for a tent. They told him, you need to show me where the means of access are. It's an open tent. So that scared me a little bit, so I took the plans and I went up to meet with the building commissioner. I figured we better do this ahead of time. I explained to him the structure, what we're doing, everything, and he said, I'm okay with that. But he wanted a means of access for a tent.
So one of the actually...
Jeff, it must have been your approach.
John, if you can put the prior slide up real quick. So one of the reasons we are having this meeting now for a project that is going to be taking place in May or June is we need to move from the sort of kind of high-level concept drawings you've seen here into very detailed architectural structural drawings, which is what we can use to go to the town for permitting, what we can use to go with contractors for getting, looking at different vendors and finalizing contracts and finalizing costs. So we're trying to get ahead of this as early as possible, knowing that permits take time. Anybody who's done anything with permitting knows that. So we're just trying to get ahead of a lot of that stuff.
The other thing I think we're going to have to do is go to the Concom to make sure that we're not within the jurisdiction. Now, we may very well be. I haven't measured yet to see if it's within 100 feet. If it is, then we're either going to have to go to the Concom, which I hope would be a fairly simple process, especially when we're dealing with the drainage on site. If we were shedding it towards the wetlands, whole different issue. But I'm very well aware we need to contain it within the area. So we're going to, as Adam said, next step is we've got to do structural stamp drawings for the structure itself. Once we do structural drawings and with this stamped, we can finish up in the architecture, which won't be too difficult. Once we do that, then I want to submit now for the building permit, even before we have a contractor. I could do that on my own license, so that won't hold us up. So once we submit to the town, once we go to the Concom, either realize we got to go before them or not, we can actually pull our own permit if we want to. Then we can negotiate with the contractors, decide who we want to go with. The one thing I want to make sure we do, How many times does a project start and you see it stalled? Well, we're waiting for materials, we're waiting for windows, we're waiting for this. I don't want to wait for anything. So once we decide who our contract is with, and I'd like to do that a few months in advance of starting, I want to pre-order the granite, I want to pre-order all the windows, I want to pre-order all the trusses, so when we start, there's no delays. Yes?
Looking at the timeline, it sounds like it won't be available for this summer's services?
When are the summer services?
Summer services, we don't be able to use it this summer. Will not be available.
But the construction is going to be going on during the summer, right?
Depending on when we decide to start the permitting, the structural, if we do that soon, here we are, we'll call this December. If we could do the structural in December, we could finish the architecture in January, we could do permitting February and March, and at the same time choose a contractor. Depending on what the temple schedule is, we either start April or May, if that works for Danny.
So maybe if you're lucky, you'll be done in June.
We could be.
Otherwise,
it's all a function when we
otherwise,
start.
if it goes farther in, we won't be able to have summer services outdoors.
It's a function when we start.
We have discussed as a team the fact that for this, in terms of when's the best time to do building work at the temple, the summer is the lightest usage of the space as a whole, and therefore is the best time for building work in terms of especially the ELC and Hineni being there. We're aware that that will impact our ability to have outdoor services as we've had them, and we've already started talking about how we might do a few outdoor services, because the outdoor services take a lot of work, and John's looking at me right now as I'm saying this. They take a lot of work for us to deliver the outdoor services anyway, so we're exploring how we might do a few outdoor services this coming summer while the building work is taking place. There are different ways that we can do it, whether that's Chickamy, on the waterfront as we've done it in different ways. There are some different iterations, but we want to do it in a way that's manageable and reasonable. But that's the sacrifice. But it's for the flow of the synagogue, it is better for us to not have summer services outdoor under the canopy than to have the building work taking place during the fall, winter, or spring. Not that it could take place in the winter, but in terms of the usage and what's going on.
For what it's worth, I am with you. I love the summer services, and I sat in one of these committee meetings and said, please, 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 and got the same answer. And I think they're right. I think that for the flow of what goes on here and the kids and the schools, it is what we need to do. I think once you've been to an outside service during the summer, the idea of building a pavilion and using it is so appealing. But I have been told short-term pain, long-term gain, and that I have to focus on not this coming summer, but the following summer. So you and I can sit out there in 2027 and be super happy, and in 2026, we're going to just be wherever they tell us, and we're going to think about 2027 and how happy we're going to be.
I may have mentioned this earlier. Just to be clear, we're proposing on the terrace itself to be granite. Now, I'm going to leave these two boards up when we're done this evening. If you want to come up and look at them, or I'll stay around if you have any questions. We can talk about the individual images. Any further questions? Comments? No, it's thermal finished. It's a flame finish. It's textured.
The question was, is granite slippery? And in this case, the material used for this kind of a surface has got like a rough surface to it. So it's smooth, but it's rough, so if it does get wet, it's not slippery.
Yep, it's called a flame finish. It's actually less slippery than bluestone. Yes?
Can granite be heated, or is that overly expensive?
You can heat anything. Look at it, for $75,000, we can put thermal heat under the terrace.
If anyone wants to make that pledge or donation, then that will be greatly accepted by the temple community.
Going once.
So I think as we wrap things up for this evening, I think for us it's so important that on behalf of the board, the staff, and especially the team who are leading this, that everyone in the community is aware of these plans and has the opportunity to kind of reflect on them and share their thoughts and ask their questions. We want this to be a process that involves and that engages. And I want to, again, reiterate the gratitude to Roy and to Adam for all of their work. And if you do have any questions, both of them, I think, are available via email, that you can send them emails and they will be able to respond to your questions. And if you can't find them, then, of course, you can email myself or one of the team here, and we will pass on the questions to them. Thank you to everyone for joining us this evening in person. Thank you to those of you watching online. And again, have a look at these wonderful pictures and these images. And a thank you, as always, to John Legg for ensuring that we were seen and heard. Thank you and good night.
Well, I said we don't need that. You don't need that. Yeah, I don't know how it's described. It doesn't even say the flag page said doesn't even say this. It doesn't like it. It is like
there's significant chunks of domes, but I don't think we're going to do it for them, so I don't think we're going to destroy it as people use of that's what's on my board. What I tell you, it's potentially less simple, but
Hopefully that'll be less divisive.
we'll see. But
My own too was, look, at some point you gotta trust people that they're gonna.
well, I the criticism, like,
I'm concerned, yeah.
so we try to change that. Are you done now?
I just don't know how to walk it back.
Let me think about it, but I want to think.
Maybe a conversation with Jane.
I want to think. Let me think about that. More about not wanting to be in the
You seem like your investment reports. But frankly, I don't do it. But I know it's, so I do my own tax. First of all, let me think about that. So, other size firms, some specs, but yeah, they can go audit the national grid and UTC rating, but I mean, we did, when I was at Ernst, we had some high net worth individual clients, estate planning and sport, but,
I'll come look up, I like those. That's where I'll be. Yeah.
and I also built those, simplified. I'm not sure you need a big board if you wish. But sometimes these small firms, you know, have a lot more about sometimes know what they're doing. So there is one guy, he started a stuff called a home office. Even at $700 an hour, it's $1,000. But the fact that you should first, yeah, like, why not get in touch with you about the tax act, or, you know, maybe you're.
Mountain to the hall too.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and the other person I would ask, I had to talk to him, let me find out, like, do you do it like, yeah, so.
I know, I know.
Now, I could ask him about what it's for you, I would just say, who would you recommend?
We know very well. I'm down, Darren, first of all, sees them all through CGT. You know, some of them, fun to play with this last, remember when he had this fun?
Oh, you mean the broken income? No.
Not Fidelity.
Post Fidelity.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I wasn't.
They had a hedge fund, and they were partners with him. So he's probably still invested in something like that.
So, my grandfather called me, blessed memory, when I was 28 years old. He said, hey, Pinebrook is, they just came out with a special deal, they want young guys. So, if you're a legacy and you're under 30, initiation's $7,000. So, I know you started golfing a bit, he says, if you're gonna stay and try to be a partner, in those days you did a lot of entertainment, not a lot of business, of course, business on course. But I took my clients out, because you ought to join. So I put my application in, they tell me it's gonna be a few years. You know, it's a wait list, and they take one legacy and then one other. 6 months later, they said, hey, congratulations, you're in. I'm like, okay, great. And, you know, I was 29, so there were very few members in that age group. Like, there were, you know, my grandparents' kids' age.
They're welcome.
So to put it straight, the first time I got their call by myself, it's Friday afternoon, the pro says, hey, you know, a couple of young guys just went off. I'm sure they'd be happy to join them. Some guys. But, you know, make sure they know, like, you know, sometimes people don't want somebody they don't. So he drives me up to the third people, and I get introduced to Larry and Jeff. You know, I don't know from anybody, right? Yeah. So, let me tell you, so we play a few bowls, and yeah, I'm Jeff. What do you guys do over at Fidelity? How about you? Yeah, I'm a nurse. Oh, so what do you do at Fidelity? Oh, he runs Magellan, I have another girl. Jeff. Well, it was the first and only time I ever saw him there.